What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Built by Getroman. My name is Eddie Beto, and this is Built by Getroman, a channel dedicated to guiding code newbies on how to become a software engineer via motivational coding and also the documentation of my own journey on the path to becoming a software engineer. Today, we'll be working on building a technical documentation page using freeCodeCamp's free curriculum. And this project is actually my last project that I need to build out in order to get my responsive web design certification on freeCodeCamp. So for those that are not familiar with that website, you need a certain amount of hours and projects to complete to get a certification. So this is the last project I'm going to be building out to get that certification on freeCodeCamp. It takes about 300 hours to do as far as like the whole certification. So I'm on my last legs on that. So today we'll be using HTML, CSS, specifically using the native CSS grid and Flexbox to build out the grid system to build out the technical documentation page. I'm excited for this. This is actually the first video I'm actually building out some sort of web application, if you will. And I'm straying away from coding challenges for this live stream and wanted to get into more project-based videos. So this is the first one of many on freeCodeCamp. So if that sounds exciting to you and you're excited as much as I am, please stick around. It's going to be a lot of fun. I will be following the same techniques as far as the Pomodoro time management is concerned. So there'll be some breaks in between. I'll make sure to leave timestamps in the video so you can scrub through the videos for your convenience. So stick with me. Let's have some fun. Let's get it. All right, guys, we're back. So let's get right to it. freeCodeCamp is basically a website that provides free materials, free curriculum to you to follow, and basically level up on your skill set to become a developer. So these guys have grown in the past couple of years. I signed up back in 2015 when I first started to code. Roughly around that time, 2014, 2015. And I've been in and out of freeCodeCamp. So now I'm taking this a lot more serious as far as sticking with it alongside the coding challenges that I've been doing on Code Wars and Algo Expert. So this is another road I'm taking to, make sure that my pencil tip is sharpened and I'm ready for, project-based learning and project-based building here live on YouTube. So let's get to it. So basically, like I mentioned, let me blow this up a little bit. Here is the curriculum that I've built out, that I've gone through. I'm so used to building curriculums myself that verbiage always comes out of my mouth. But I am at the last legs of this. I didn't want to print that. Actually, my bad. Let me turn on my tools, which I forgot to turn on. Let me see if this is working. Yes, it is. Yeah, I'm on my last legs here. So build a technical documentation page. So basically, some of the steps I'm going to be, I guess the way I'm approach this is walk through I'll open it up actually. So they do a great job of breaking this down into user stories, which is pretty nice because it's the agile way of, actually, let me turn off this timer thing here. Yeah, it's the agile way of developing where you would break down all of the features into user stories. So that's pretty nice. I like that they do that. So the way I'm going to be approaching this is basically going through each story and building them out, right? And when I build them out, I'm going to use GitHub and Git some version control to, keep track of all of the features I'm building out for each particular user story. And I'm going to commit them as user stories. I'm not going to create different branches for each user story. I've done that previously, but just for, like for the consideration of timing and just to, get things going a little quicker, I'm just going to have 2 branches. I'm going to have a master branch and a developer branch, so I can use that developer branch to build out these stories and commit them and just tag them, as user story 1, user story 2, etc., etc. So I use the tags to kind of identify that. Typically, I would have built out some like feature branches that's branched away from the developer branch, and then merge that into developer, and then I have a release branch, and then merge that into master. It's kind of the workflow, but I think that's overkill for this particular build out. So keep that in mind. And also, again, I'm going to timestamp all of these user stories so that you have a beginning and end to each user story, so that you can scrub through the video. I'm hoping I can get through these user stories all today. That'll be pretty nice. So we'll see how far we get. And yeah, so let's get to it. Well, the first thing I'm going to do is map out. Let's look at the end result to see what it looks like, and then I'm going to map out the approach as far as drawing it out on my whiteboard and mapping out a grid, and then go from there. And then from there we'll start like plugging away at the code, build out the scaffolding with the HTML, and then add some CSS, add some grid to like position all of those elements. So let's get to it. Let's review the actual end result and then build out the schema, if you will. All right, so here's the end result of what this should look like. All right, and so let's spend some time actually here. Let's set the timer for 25 minutes for the first round. Okay, so let's start the timer at 25 minutes. Awesome. All right, so we're gonna spend some time here just reviewing what the end result should look like. All right, so here it is. So we have basically it's a page with a lot of text on it. There is there's a sidebar here that basically points to different parts of the page, and it looks like there's some links to a specific part of the homepage that will, basically when you click on variable scope or any of these options, is going to take you to those parts of the website. So we have to create some sort of a side with reference points, some list items, if you will, identifies each part of the section, and then have a main kind of a page here that's scrollable, that you can scroll up and down, and basically have a way to kind of scroll through and look at the page. So this could be straightforward, depends how we approach it, but there's no JavaScript involved, at least that I know of at this point. So basically this is what we're going to be end up building. And let me put my phone back on here. All right, cool. So they have an introduction, what you should know already. Awesome. So what I'm gonna do is what's this here? It's the same thing. I'm going to move this over here and kind of map out oh, there's the mobile view. So we have to consider the mobile. So here's the mobile view, right? So it looks like the mobile view has the nav bar stacked on top of each other, and it's scrollable, which is cool. And then it should take us to the correct zone, the correct location of the page when I click on that list item. Okay, so my first step is to map this out. Let's go with the mobile. I'm gonna do the mobile first approach. I'm gonna try that. So I'm gonna go and map out the mobile first approach. Map out this website on paper through the mobile viewpoint, and then create another media query that's, you know, that's a viewport size over whatever is the breakpoint to get to the full width of the website. And then we'll do a kind of, you know, kind of mapping out wireframe for that as well. Okay. Cool. All right, so let's begin. What do we have here? So we have, let me see. So I know we have like a title here. Okay, so there's a space for this on the page. We have a navigation bar that is so this part is not necessarily static. It kind of flows and hides as we scroll down the page, so I don't need to worry about that. But this part is scrollable, so I gotta find a way to hide, like basically do this part. I gotta figure out how to create a nav bar that's scrollable and hides under this page. So we gotta figure that part out. But nonetheless, this part here of the page is going to be the nav, right? So that could be the template area of a nav. So we got the title here, right? And this is kind of broken down into list items here, right? So this is list item. All right, so I have to keep that in mind. Cool. So now, for the main part, I basically have to create sections, right? It looks like there are sections where there are sections on the website where this is being sectioned off as like the introduction page, the what you know already page section, the JavaScript and Java section. So this is probably like basically creating different sections in the HTML and just kind of scaffold it out where I'm like just reserving space on the page for each of those sections and all the text that goes under it, which seems pretty straightforward. So I'm gonna just stub out the first three on paper and then the rest should follow suit, minus, you know, once we get inside of the text, then we gotta account for code snippets like that. So we gotta make sure that we're accounting for these code snippets, which is, you know, something I can look up as far as like what's the way to do that, which is seems pretty straightforward. All right, so we have a section here. So I'm gonna reserve a space here for just multiple sections. Right? So we have, you know, H2 maybe. I think that's, or H1, and then, you know, some text flying in the background here. And then same for the other one. I think straight down the page should be a repeat of what's being identified here as far as the first section is concerned. So let's just say this is gonna be another section. And these sections are gonna be called, you know, different. Like they're gonna be sections, but they're gonna be ID'd, or ID'd basically with, you know, the introduction section. They're going to be ID'd with, you know, this is gonna be introduction. This one is going to be, you know, what should you know already, etc., etc. And this one's gonna be JavaScript and Java. Okay, so pretty straightforward. So this is a repeat here. So this all gonna be pretty much the same. Some text flying behind here. And last but not least, we're gonna put J and J for JavaScript and Java. We give it an H2 and fly some text in the background. All right. So that's pretty much the quick wireframe, if you will, as far as like how I'm gonna translate that and kind of think about writing the HTML as far as like, you know, scaffolding it out. So I am doing the mobile first approach. So I want to make sure that I'm accounting for that. And then, you know, once we're done with the mobile first approach, we'll just scale it up to account for a larger viewport size. So there's some media queries we got to write, right? And also freeCodeCamp does a good job of like writing unit tests for us. So we got to basically pass these tests. So when we run the test at this very minute, oh, this one's passing because this is the sample, but and when I create my example, this is going to be all X's here. So we have to pass each of these tests. So that's something that we look forward to as well, which is that's very cool. And yeah, let's do it. So next, let's start writing the HTML for this. I'm gonna keep this here. And let me see, do I have my code editor up? I do. All right. So I'm using VS Code to write this out. And if you guys have any questions about like the theme I'm using or some of the plugins, and, you know, just leave a comment below, or, you know, leave it in the chat and I can respond to you with like all of the bells and whistles that I'm using for this, for my VS Code setup. Okay. Cool. So let's get to the code. All right. Ooh, so terminal. So I'm going to fire up a terminal here and basically going to create the project through the terminal. Make that a little bigger. CD into my folder, and I have, okay, so here I'm going to make a new directory, and I'm going to actually hide my phone here. You guys can see that. Awesome. We're gonna call this, I don't know, let's call this FCC freeCodeCamp technical documentation page. So freeCodeCamp technical documentation page. Okay, cool. So let's CD into that. Nothing there. Cool. So let's open it in VS Code. They open up a new thing for me, so that's fine. We'll do it here. Awesome. All right. So I'm going to create some files. So let's do index.html. Wait, am I in the right folder? I am. Okay, cool. So touch style.css. Awesome. All right. I'm not obstructing the view, so I'm good. All right, cool. So we have our files here. I'm gonna close this out. And I wonder if I can, oh no, they don't have. So as far as the starter boiler template, I like to use something that's already pre-written. And I'm wondering if I had that installed here. There you go. So I have, I'm using this, snippet of code that VS Code provides where, you type in HTML and it kind of spits out the boiler template for you. As far as all the startup code, which is, it's good to know, but at the end of the day, if you're going to keep doing this over and over, it's good to have stuff that's, pre-written for you, so that you can save time. So that's what we're doing today. Okay, so I want to now flip through these two pages. So bear with me if you're getting a little dizzy from all the flipping and to and from, but that's what we're gonna do today. And first things first, what I want to do is incorporate this testing suite into the page. So because I'm not using CodePen to do this, I'm using VS Code. I have to link the script somewhere in here, but I need to grab that script tag, which I forget exactly where it's at. And let's find that actually. Okay, where is it? Is this it? There we go. Awesome. So you can build your projects by forking CodePen, or you can use the CDN to run the tests in any environment. All right, so I'm gonna use the CDN. We're going to copy that and plug that into, I throw it in the head. It's not a big file, so I could throw it at the bottom of the body, but I don't think it's going to obstruct any rendering of the HTML because there's not much HTML to render. On the larger project, I would do it at the bottom. But for now, that is what it's going to be. And was it SRC? I forget. All right, where's the live? Open with live server. Let's see if that's gonna work. Awesome. All right, so let's do this. I'm going to move that over here, side by side. Let's do that. All right, cool. So I feel like those scripts were self-closing. Am I bugging out? No. All right, I'm going to look it up. I forget how I did it the last time. You know what? I'll do it here. Am I missing something here? Script src. Yeah, that's right. Script src. Yeah, so this should work. Src undo. I should have seen a hamburger icon on top here to get the test suite running. Not sure why that's not working. It's open in default browser. Does that make any difference? Script tag. Is that self-closing? Let me open up this page one more time. No, so it has a closing script tag. Yeah, I like to double check, and I never take anything for granted. Not sure why that CDN is not working. Maybe it likes it only on not on the live server. So I'm gonna stop the live server and just open a default browser. And I am not seeing the script tag. I mean, I'm not seeing the icon being plugged in, the hamburger icon, to show me the test that should be there. All right, let me go back to the notes. All right, you can build your project by forking this code pen, or you can use the CDN link to run the test in any environment you like. Okay. Let me check my other project I did. Was that at the bottom? Did I put it at the bottom? I did put it at the bottom. And there's an async defer. All right, let's try that. It is the same CDN. There you go. All right, we got it working. So putting it at the bottom with the asynchronous defer, which I think is the way for like kind of waiting, is an asynchronous call where basically I think it's like wait for the HTML to load and then run the script. I gotta look that one up again. You know what, let's do that so I can be clear on it. It's like I look this thing up, I remember at the moment, but then once I move away from this stuff, it's like you just kind of forget. Oh, this is the render blocking. Okay, yeah. So with async, the file gets downloaded asynchronously and then executed as soon as it's downloaded. With defer, the file gets downloaded asynchronously, but executed only when document parsing is complete. So this like basically confirms waiting for like the HTML to load, it sounds like, and then once it's done, it'll run the script right after that. Okay, cool. So we got the test suite running here. We have something, let's run the test. So right now we're not passing anything, right? We have to go through each of these stories and build them out. All right, cool. So this is good. It's showing us exactly what we want. Okay. So when we come back from our break, we're going to build out the scaffolding of the HTML and basically run through this wireframe and build out each of those sections and create all of the containers and all of the elements that's needed to make sure that all of the text is there present and ready for us to style up. So we'll do that when we come back right after the break. So enjoy your break and we'll be right back. All right, guys, we're back, and we are going to turn this camera back on. All right, yeah, so we're going to now stub out the sections for the title and the nav, and then work our way down. All right, so let's set up this timer, 25 minutes, and let's get cracking on this. Boom. All right. So first we have these user stories. The first one is saying I can see a main element with the corresponding ID main doc, which contains the page's main content, the technical documentation. So I'm assuming they're talking about all this stuff. They're not giving me any user stories for the title and the nav bar, which I don't see that, at least in the first two user stories. Let me scroll down to make sure that I'm not missing anything here. Additionally, the nav bar should contain a link A element with the class of nav link. There should be one for every element within the class main. I guess I'm gonna work with the flow of this user story, because for some reason it looks like they're asking us to build out the nav bar like later in the user stories. So yeah, it looks like that's the last thing I have to do. All right, let me just copy this. So they want us, I can see the main element with a corresponding main doc, which contains the page main content. So I think that's a wrapper, right? I think what they're saying is create a main that holds all of this part here. I don't know if I have to throw in the nav and title as part of that, because in the bottom here it's saying additionally the nav bar should contain a link of hyperlinked elements with the class of nav link. There should be one for every element with the class main section. There should be the header element in the nav bar must come before any a link. All right, well, let's just go through each story, and then if we have to alter things, then we'll do that. All right, so let's do that. I'm over here. That's right. Actually need the real estate, so I'm gonna throw this over here. This is our version, just totally blank right now. It should look like this. So let's say copy that over. All right, user story 1. I can see the main. Actually, I'm forgetting something here. I want to create my dev branch before I go ahead and do that. Oh, you know what I forgot to do is hook up. Let's hook up the. Let's hook this up to GitHub, so I can save all this and track it and version control it, which I totally forgot to do. So let's do that now. So let's get into GitHub. Let's link this to GitHub, so that I can create my branches and save each story and push it up to GitHub. So let's do that now. All right, so let's go ahead and make sure that there's nothing I need to track as far as changes is concerned. So there's no Git, so we're good there. So I'm gonna do is go to GitHub. And oh, it's right here. Totally forgot. And let's create a new repository. We're calling this By Getroman technical actually let's use camel case here. Tech doc page. So I'm gonna create the repository here, and let's do that. Cool. So I'll go back to the project. Here, I'm going to get a init to create an empty repository, which I've done. And now connect this to GitHub. And get out the way there. Cool, so I'm gonna connect this to GitHub and follow the instructions. Do I have anything to track? Let's do a git status. Okay, so I'm gonna add all of this. Boom. Git status. Now I gotta commit. I'm just gonna say initial commit. I'm on the master branch. Okay. So before I push this, I want to add a remote that points to the GitHub URL, so I can push the Git up and upstream it, basically push the code up, and then change the branch from master to main. Good move, GitHub. About goddamn time. And push it up. Cool. So that should have basically pushed up my code to GitHub. If I refresh this, it should pick up some of my last commits, which it did. Awesome. So there it goes. My index, which should have pretty much nothing but the script. And that's pretty much it. Cool. So that's connected. All right, I'm gonna go back to the project, and what did I want to do? I wanted to create a new branch. Okay, so let's do git branch. All right, so I want to create a developer branch. So I'm gonna check out branch develop. Let's just make sure that I'm in that branch. Awesome. So I'm gonna use this branch actually to do all of the features I'm gonna build out, all the stories, and then once I'm done with all the stories and they work, then I'll just merge them into master and push it up to GitHub. Push up the main to the main repository, the main branch. All right, so that's done. Now I can go back and actually start stubbing out some of this HTML and go back to the first story, which is user story 1. And let's build that out as far as the HTML is concerned. Cool. So user story 1, it wants us to cool. So user story 1, let's get to it. All right, so basically user story 1, I can see a main element with a corresponding ID of main doc, which contains the page main content. So I'm assuming it's just the technical documentation, not so much the nav that closes down. Okay, so I guess I'll worry about this later. Let's see. All right, so let's start typing this out here. All right, main ID main doc. Okay, I can see a main element with a corresponding ID of main doc, which contains the page's main content, strictly the technical documentation. All right, so I'm gonna save this and basically test it out and see if that's what they're saying. Run test. Oh, refresh the page. My product landing page should have a header element with corresponding ID. All right. I don't know if these two, if the stories are in sync with, am I on the right page? No technical document page. Let me make sure that, oh, I'm in the product landing. That's why. Let me switch the test around. All right, now we got some. We're passing the first story. All right, I was confused there. That looked pretty confusing to me. So basically, make sure you switch the test, hit the drop down arrow to switch your testing suite to accommodate the project you're working on. All right. So I can see the main element. So I have the main doc, which contains the main content. Okay. Cool. User story number 2, within the main doc element, I can see several sections, elements with each class of main section. There should be a minimum of 5. All right, so let's do that. Well, actually, I need to commit the user story. I did say that after every user story, I'm going to commit and run through the version control on Git and Github to push the code up and then start a new story and go from there. All right, so let's do that. So I'm gonna add the files. Git commit. So these are gonna be short commits, like short shelf life, as far as these like in between commits. They're gonna be pretty, pretty frequent. Typically I wouldn't commit something so fast, but just for the purpose of like closing out one user story and pushing it up and say that that's complete, that I can go back and track that, I think is worth it for this project itself. It's a small project. So I'm gonna say this is complete user story 1. Then I'm gonna say add main. What did I do? Add main element with corresponding ID. See if that works. Okay, cool. I'm gonna push this up to git push origin develop. That should push that code up to GitHub. So let's check that out on the Git of the hubs, which I deleted. Go back here. I'm gonna keep that page up. And cool, yeah, so it worked. So we pushed something up to GitHub successfully. It's a short line of code, but you know, it's good practice to push code up to Git once you're finished that feature, that story. And this story is hella small, so you know, it's a freeCodeCamp technical doc page, so it's not asking for a lot, at least for this part. So just to confirm, I wonder if I make this page bigger, will it give me more options to see the commits? Oh, branches, here we go. Cool, so default develop, which was updated a few minutes ago. There's the changes. A few lines of code were added. One was deleted. And very simple, straightforward, that worked. And we have some sort of version control on this. So there's a commit hash for that commit that we made, so we can always point back to that if in the future, for whatever reason, I want to go through a time machine and go back to the first commit. I can always use this hash to go back to that line of code or that state of the code it was in at the time. So that works. Cool. All right, so let's go to story number 2 and let's work on that one. All right, so let's do it. All right, so story number 2 is asking us, within the main doc element, I can see several section elements, each with a class of main section. There should be a minimum of 5. All right, so let's go back here. So how many? We got 1. How many sections do we have? 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 6. There are a few. So I'm assuming that's gonna expand as I build out the rest of this stuff here. Actually, yeah, there's more. It's a bunch. All right. All right, so within the main doc element, I can see several sections elements, which each with a class of main. Okay, so let's do that. So let's create a section. I don't have the shorthands, the Emmet shorthand snippets to create this a lot faster, so apologies. I have to like just create one, copy and paste it down. So let's do class, and that's going to be class of main section. I guess these are the wrappers we're building out. So I'm gonna do 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A minimum of 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If I'm not mistaken, there should be more than 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I'm gonna just do 5 for now, and then I'll just take it from there. All right, let's comment this out. Okay, user story 2, create 5 sections with a class of main section. So let's see, refresh this page. Let's just see if the test passed, run the test. So it looks like that worked. So cool. All right, so we finished story number 2, created the elements, the main element. We've nested the main element, the parent node, with child nodes of like section elements, and add a class. Pretty straightforward. So that passed. So with that being said, let's go back to the terminal and push this up. So this is going to be a repeat rinse thing, which is kind of the point, right? So let's push this code up. So we're going to say, let me hide myself here so you guys can see, and clear that up. So we do a git status. I made some changes, so I want to add the index.html, right? And it's asking us to, we do a status check, so it's asking us to commit the code. So we do a commit, the git commit message here. I'm going to say git commit. What do we do? We add a section element with corresponding, am I spelling that right? Corresponding main section ID. Cool. Do another git status. We got to push, but you know, it's good to like have this git status thing going on every time to let us know what's happening. So I'm going to push this up. Cool, that worked. So we passed that story. Let's just confirm with the GitHubs, and develop has recently pushed less than a minute ago. So that's confirming there. And oh, let's go back to the main page here. Let's close that out. Boom. So I can see on the develop branch, I've made some changes a minute ago. It pushed up. That worked. If I open it, I can see the changes here. Here's the new code I added. There goes the history. So here's the commit hashes. So we've completed 3 commits, one off the initial commit and the other off the 2 stories we completed. So we have some reference points in GitHub and Git for version control purposes, which is cool. So cool. So we passed that one, and that's, hopefully I can squeeze in another story before the time is up. But let's do that. So let's just add, let's go for story number 3. So let's do that. We're gonna tackle user story number 3. Let's do it. All right, so let's do that. Let's copy here. Going after the user story number 3, which is saying the first element within each main section should be a header element with which contains the text that describes the topic of that section. So basically the H2s, right? So we need to like identify each of those sections. So I see myself adding more elements to that, adding more section tags. But let's just add this part, this user story, which is user story number 3. And I may have forgotten to tag the last commit with the user story number 2 to identify it, but it's okay. No one's perfect, right? So cool. So the first element with within each main section should be a header element. All right, so the first element within each. Oh, that'd be so cool if I could just do like a for loop here that adds all the all of those classes for me. That, you know, that's probably a thing. Who knows? Within each main section should be a header element. All right. So I'm wondering if I could do this. So let's actually add these things here. How many are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So there are 14 of these bad boys. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. All right. And let me see if this is gonna work. How do I add multiple cursors? I'm gonna do that. Let's try to be slick with this and do this only once and apply it to all of the stories here. So there should be a header element that contains a text that describes the topic for each of those sections. Header. And I'm just going to write text for now. Cool. So let's go back to here. So we have text, text, text. Cool. So that's working. Let's run the test. And user story number 3 is all set. So what I'm gonna do now is just go in and change the names. Wait, each section element with the class of main section should also have the ID. I'll save that for the next story, I think, because I think it's happening here. Let's just make sure before I do anything else. User story 4, each section element with the class of main section, which I just created, right? I just created a couple of sections. Should also have an ID that corresponds with the text of each header contained with it. Any spaces should have replaced with underscores. The section that contains the header Java should have a corresponding ID. All right, let me just add the text now, and then we'll go to our break. I'm gonna say these are h2 tags, and I need to change them. I'll do that later. So the first one is going to be introduction, what you should already know. So let's do that. Introduction. Next, JavaScript and Java, hello world, cool. JavaScript and Java, and here they want a hello world, and then here, what do they want? Variables, declaring variables. All right. I should just do the multiple cursor thing. A lot easier. Why is that not working? Whatever. Variable scope, global variables. Global variables. What else we have? Constants and data types. if else statement, while statements, function declaration. Reference, last one. Reference. Cool. All right, so I'm gonna do now is we're out of time, so I'm gonna for this Pomodoro, I'm gonna push this up and then go on break. All right, so it looks like we're good on that user story. Let me just refresh. So here are the basically sections. The that identifies each section. And let's make sure that's running and passed. Cool. All right, so let's push this up to GitHub. Let's open up the terminal. I need to squiggly. What is it? Command. Let me see. That's a shortcut. No, that's not the shortcut. Is it control? No. Shift. Nope. Do it the old school way. All right, so git status, git add index.html. We're gonna commit this. I don't need to check the status because I kind of used to doing this part. So I'm gonna say here, we're gonna say add section elements with corresponding ID. I'm gonna say I'm gonna cut this down to US for user story. This is user story number 3. So I think we're done with this one here. Cool. And let's push that. You know what I'm gonna do actually? I'm gonna move this to the side. Can I do that? Move to the right. There we go. So I will not be in the way. Cool. Much better. So git push origin develop. And let's just confirm to make sure we have our commits. Yes, here we go. So I forgot to add a reference to the user story in the commit. And you know, typically, like I mentioned, I would do that if I were to like build out feature branches, and I would like call that branch, you know, something a little more descriptive that's closely related to the feature. There's a convention there that I'm not going to do here, but maybe in other projects as I build up my skill set to bigger projects, then I'll go ahead and do that to keep track of all the stories. So this is it. Cool. So it's pushed up. We're good to go. We have some version control going here. We've passed some of the tests. When we come back from break, we'll tackle user story number 4 and build out that HTML scaffolding and go from there. All right, guys. So yeah, see you in a few minutes. Enjoy your break. All right, guys, let's get back to this. Awesome. So let's set up the timer here and let's continue to code and get through these user stories here. So where's my handy dandy timer? Awesome. All right, so we're now on user story number 4, I believe. And this one has a little more weight to it. So let's see what they want. So they're saying each section element with the class of main section should also have an ID that corresponds with the text of each header containing within it. Any spaces should be replaced with underscores. Example, the section that contains the header JavaScript and Java should have a corresponding ID that says this with the underscores attached. All right. So let's do that. Let's go back to our VS Code and let's work on story number 4. What am I doing here? Oh, that's not what I wanted. Cool. All right. So each section element with the class of main section should also have an ID that corresponds with the text of each header contained with it. Let me close this down here because it's too much scrolling. Each section element with the class of main section should also have an ID that corresponds with the text of each header contained with it. So do you want the ID here? Each section element with the class of main section should also have an ID. So here, I guess, ID introduction. Is that all they want? And I have to do that for each one. All right, I think that's what they want. Escalate. Any spaces should be replaced with underscores, right? Am I over reading this? Is that all they want? Each section element with the class of main section should also have an ID. Oh, so it's here, not necessarily in the header. The section that contains the header. So do they want that in the header or do they want that in the here? I'm gonna check the finished version. I don't want to do this like 3 times over because I'm misreading it. So because I have a reference point, I'm gonna look at the finished version to see where exactly they want it, because I'm not clear exactly. Do they want it in the section or the header tag? But each section element with the class of main section should also have an ID that corresponds with the text of each header contained with it. Ooh, what happened here? It's got disconnected. Let's reconnect that. Where was I? All right, so where's the finished version here? Let me inspect the here just to so section. Oh, so the ID here. So they also want an ID in the section part. Not okay. Also in the header, they don't want an H1. They just want in the header. Okay, that's fine. I can switch that. So the ID is the ID goes with the section element. So heard it. I don't need to look at this anymore. Very clear. So I need to change some things up. This is user story number 4. I'm gonna leave the H2 just for the hell of it. I'm not changing that. I don't think it's a big deal. So I wonder, could I be slick and do that thing where I have multiple cursors? There you go. Cool. All right, so main section. Let's add these IDs, but then I have to go back in and change each one, which is a little repetitive, but that's the nature of this project. So I'm gonna say ID equals boom. Do they want this capital or lowercase? Doesn't matter. I don't think it does. But let me go back and make sure, because I don't want to do this 3 times over. I'm going to capitalize it. Introduction. What you should already know. All right, so let's do what. Yeah. What you should already know. Next, JavaScript underscore in Java. Oh, it did it for me. Why did it do that? That is cool. Hello world. Variables. Declaring variables. Variable scope. Global underscore variables. Oh, I missed this one. Constants. Is that what they want? Or constants with that. Ooh. Data types. Lowercase. And let me count the if 3 dots. See, what's the convention here? Like, why do I need? I don't know if I want to capitalize these things. I like them lowercased. It makes it clear. I'm gonna just do that for my sake, because all this upper and lowercasing stuff is gonna confuse me. In a future project, I want to use BEM to help me like get better at naming conventions for CSS. Naming conventions. I've done it. I built another project using that. That was pretty nice. I only did it once, so hopefully I can do it again. I will do it again. Function. Ooh. And then ref for your reference. All right, let's see if that passed. Is that all they want? Each section element. Okay, yeah, I think that's it. Let's see. Refresh, nothing has changed. Let's run the test. Oh, it didn't work. So do they want it to be exactly the same? That sucks. Some main section elements are missing the following IDs. Don't forget to replace spaces with underscores. It wants it like the same. Okay. They want it. All right. I guess it wants it the same. Let me look at the final version just to make sure. This is the part I was afraid of. So let's look at these sections. It is all capitalized except the if-else statement. So it's the same. They want it the same way. Interesting. Function. All right. That's what they want. That's what they want. I need to pass this test. So this has to be capital I. This has to be capital W. Let me make sure. JavaScript and Java. This is hello world. Wait, is the world capitalized too? No, it's not. So let's lowercase that. Variables. Plain variables. This is capitalized. Lowercase. Global variables, constants. Okay. Global variables and constants. That's lowercase. Sorry for all the switching back and forward. I need the real estate for this. It's hard to see. If I start crunching too much screen real estate in one viewport, becomes a cluster. So constants is capital C. This is like the nitty gritty stuff. It's could be annoying at times, but it is what it is, man. Gotta get it done. If else statements has 3 dots, so they want it just like that. 1, 2, 3. Lowercase I. While statements. Lowercase s. Or lowercase w. Damien. How annoying is this? Function declaration. Yeah, I could do a search and change it. I probably should have done that. Just search it and like change each of the these two ID and text in one shot, but probably could have done that. So lowercase reference. It's okay because no one's watching right now. Live at least. I can do this. For those who do watch this video back, like I said, I have timestamps, so it'll be easier to scrub through the videos. So you have to sit through this part. But just know that they want it exactly the way it's spelled, which is, for testing purposes, there's no gray area. It's either you pass or you fail when it comes to unit tests. So, you know, it's all good. But let's see if this works. It looks like it worked. Hoping you guys can see this. Let me blow this up a little bit. So cool. Yep, it worked. So that's the issue I had. Basically, I did this. It was spelling a grammatical error as far as like having it spelled exactly the same way. So I need to keep that in mind going forward. All right, cool. So that's done. Let's commit this. Let's add it to the staging area as far as Git and GitHub is concerned, the version control. Commit it and then push it up to GitHub to store our newly written code. This fantastic code that's written in good old HTML. All right, so let's do that. So we're going to do git status. Out of habit, I do that all the time. So we're going to add this index.html. We're going to commit it. And then we're going to say, what did it want us to do? We're going to add IDs to add ID to section element that corresponds to the text. And this is user story 4. Cool. And let's push that up. This is develop. All right, let's check GitHub. Let's just refresh this page, and it looks like our newly fantastic commit has been pushed up. All that righteous code that we wrote in HTML is up and saved on GitHub. Here's the kind of like the change file that shows you the additions and subtractions. So that's working. Awesome. So let's move on here to story number 5. Let's get it. All right, story number 5. What do we have here? User story number 5 is saying the main section elements should contain at least 10 paragraph elements, not each. What does that mean? The main section element should contain at least 10 paragraph elements. So we're here. User story 5, the main section element should contain at least 10 paragraph elements total. So combine, it's saying, not each. So for reference sake and for brevity purposes, I want to check what exactly they mean, because I don't want to do this 10 times over if I don't need to. And if I were to go to each section, nope. Main section. So it wants all combined, looks like, not 10 in each. Okay. Oh, what's this code? That's just cool. What's this about? Oh, that's the actual tag we got to use. There you go. Answers that question. Okay. I never used the code element before. That's pretty awesome. So it's combined. It's not each. So that's what it meant. All right. Should contain at least 10 P elements. All right. So I'm going to me see. It looks like these are kind of like mini stories here. I'm gonna do them. I'm gonna add them. I'm gonna add the paragraph elements to each of them and just scatter them around some of the code where it's needed, and then start shaping it up after I finish these stories, I guess. So story number 5. Let's just continue the path here. All right. Cool. Let's add story number 5. Awesome. Save that. So story number 5 says the main section elements should contain at least 10 paragraph elements in total. Not each. All right. So I'm gonna scatter these around. And then just see if we pass the test. I'll add 1 there, 1 there, 3 here, and 2 here, and let's see if we pass that test. Fresh, run. Oh, 10. I have 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's refresh this page. Run. And that's what they wanted. Okay, so I guess they're just setting us up to like eventually like add and remove the paragraph text where it's needed. But I guess what I want to do here is actually now that I have the section stubbed out, what I want to do is start copying and pasting this text inside and adding the list items where needed and the code snippets. And then I guess as I go along, we'll start shaping this thing up. But for the sake of, so I want to do it in a way where I'm not going ahead of myself and skipping the stories. I want to do them in sequential order. So I'm gonna add the text. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna copy some of this text and add that in. Okay. I wonder if I can just say, do that. Cool. Boom. Let's see, how does that look? Okay. So here's the text added. All right, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm going to bang out these 2 stories. And then add the text and list item, add the actual list item content and the text to those, to like start shaping up each of the sections. And then I'll get to the nav after that. All right, so after the break, I'll go ahead and do that, bang out these 2 stories, start adding the content, and then take it from there. All right, cool. So let's do that. Let's go to break, and I'll see you in a few minutes. All right, guys, we are back with the where are we? Yes, so user story 5. So let's get right to it. Let me set this timer up. Cool. All right, we're off to the races. We're in our 4th Pomodoro, possibly be our last for this video. Gotta go pick up the little ones from school. So cool. So user story number 5. Wait, did I commit this? Let me check the terminal here. I think I did. Oh no. So let's do git add index.html, git commit. What did I do? Add p tags, and that's user story 4. Thought I did this already, but I guess not. Cool, done. All right, so let's move to story number 5. At least, no, story number 6. The main section element should contain at least 5 code elements total, not each. All right, that's fine. We can do that. So I'm just gonna add them here just to get these. No, you know what? I changed my mind. Let me see. How many stories do I have left? Let me just add them. 2. I just feel weird just adding them anywhere. Like there's no structure to it. I'm wondering if I just get into my own flow and not go by, not necessarily go to each story like that, and just kind of build it out per section. Each section element. Let me see. Let me refresh this page. Run test. Each section element should also have an ID complement. I thought I did this already. Each section element. What happened here? Each section element of the class of main section should also have an ID comprised of the header. Inner text contained with it. Did I do this already? All right, I don't know what's going on there. What I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna stub out each section and go about it that way instead of going to each of the tests. I think as I do that, the test will pass and I'll run it that way. So I have the sections. I'm gonna add the text here, which I've done. There's no style to them, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start shaping this up a little bit and go to each one and then go back to the test and see what I passed and see what I didn't and take it from there. I'm just doing HTML right now. I'm not adding any CSS or grid or anything like that just yet. So I'm gonna do is start shaping this text a little bit. Let's do that and go from there. So show over them. Where is that? End here. Probably should have done it this way from the get. I thought the stories would have taken me in the direction where like it individually focused on each of those sections and like finish that section first and then move on to the next section as its own story, but I guess that's not the case. It's okay. Right. Cool. All right, there's some space in between there. So what's next here? We gotta add some list items. So I'm going to remove this because I don't need that right now. So hold on, guys. I'll be right back. I need to deal with a family issue, which not an issue, but I gotta make sure who's picking up the kids. Give me 1 second. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. Okay, so I was writing the list items here. Okay, so I'm going to pick up my little ones after this. Okay, so let's do that. List items. And here's some server-side content that needs to be pasted. All right, let's go here. Boom. This thing is starting to shape up. Let's refresh this. Awesome. All right. And there's a space in between, so I'm wondering if a line break? A break? Okay, that worked. All right, so there's that. I'll get the font and all that stuff later, but it's shaping up to be what I thought it should be. So this is okay. Next, this is the nitty-gritty part. Is like actually like copying all this stuff. So let's just get to the next section here. Okay, so let's get rid of all this. What you should already know. Introduction. All right, that's a paragraph text. Add that. And then it wants 3 list items with all this stuff in there. Let's do that. That's 2, 3. Boom. Cool. There's space in between, so for now I'm just gonna add a break. I may change that with some CSS. We'll see, and I'll compare it to the final solution. You know, I'm not trying to trip myself up. I want to do this the right way, so if they're suggesting something else, I'll do that. But for now, I'll just add a break tag, and that should work. Cool. Next is the JavaScript and Java section. So this is just straight text. I go here. Let me separate these sections so like visually you can see what's happening here. It's starting to get a little bit crowded. This is the beauty of like modern JavaScript libraries like React. This could be components, and I just pass these props down and loop through them and just spit these components out versus me writing them over and over and over again, which could be highly annoying after a certain time, right? But you do what you gotta do. It's part of the game. Okay. Feel free to scrub through this part of the video. But if you're live and watching me, then you're stuck. All right, there's that one. Okay. P tag. Let's add this text. Oops, what happened here? Correction, I'm not getting my daughter. My wife is. Yay, I don't have to rush. Hey, listen, man. Juggling family, code, trying to find a job, doing this live, kids, it's just a lot. So, for the fathers out there who are developers, shout outs to you. For the moms who are developers and non-developers, shout outs to you too. Not easy being a parent. At all. All right, so let's add the rest of this stuff. Boom, 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 boom. Oh, why is there's a lot of space in between these because they're block elements and I don't need the break tags, and these block elements do come with some padding and margin and all that good stuff with it. So, and I didn't do any CSS to like remove all that as the like start a CSS code like I usually do, so I don't need those break tags. All right, next. Here we go, guys. We're at the hello world part. So I'm going to add a paragraph text for this and a code snippet, which is cool. I never used the code snippet part, the code element. That's pretty nice. So hello world. It's gonna have this. Oh, and then here it's going to be the code element, and I'm just gonna copy and paste this, see how it looks. All right, I'm curious. Let's see how that looks. Is it like a gray thing? I don't see a gray box behind it. Do I have to put that gray box, or does it come? Is that something that's I'm wondering if that's something that comes along with it. I don't see the gray box here as part of like what they have here. Is there something special I need to do here? I'm gonna look at the source code, or at least the elements tab, not the source code here. All right, let's just go to the main section. Article. Oh, they have it wrapped in the article. I guess I'll do that later. I can wrap it as an article section. Like the whole thing is wrapped in the article. Yeah, I can, like a wrapper. I have to do that too, I guess. But the part I'm looking at is the code snippet. Where is that at? Where was it that it had the code snippet? Main section, hello world. Where is the hello world part? So header. Oh, they wanted the hello world in the header. Okay, I gotta change that. That was an oversight. Okay, I'll do that in a sec. And then the article is the wrapper. There is no special. Oh, I have to put it in quotes for that to be. Let me test that part. Oops. Here. Let's see how this looks. No. Don't know why it's not changing colors. I'm gonna move on and deal with that later. Okay. Not sure what's happening there. I'm gonna leave this like this for now. So I just realized that I had all of this inside the header, which shouldn't have been the case. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to make some changes here and just wrap the header, wrap the introduction of each section inside the header. So there's minor changes happening here, and just close the header tag, remove this whole line. We'll wrap this in an article, which I should have done anyway, because I'm not thinking about the CSS part, because I want to wrap this in a container. So when I do the grid, I have a container I can wrap it in and use the template areas. Okay, so yeah. My son is writing to me. What's up, kiddo? All right. My son was writing in my chat. He was all up in my DMs. I need to respond to him. Anyway, so I wanted to wrap this. So let me just make some changes here. And I'm gonna commit this because this part is a lot of restructuring. So I want to have a reference point to a commit there. So what I'm gonna do is keep that here. And maybe that's why the test broke before, because I didn't understand that part. That was an oversight. So I'm gonna use an article for this. Copy that and paste that under right there, which is lined up with this article. So I have to do that for every section. Maybe that'll pass. Maybe the test will pass this time, because I was a little confused about that. We got 4 minutes, so we should be all right. Do this in 4 minutes, hopefully. Ooh, boom. Let's write this article tag. Gotta love this elevator music. All right, this is the wrapper for this, the header. All right, so let's fix this one. Hey man, I'm learning as I go, right? Not everything's gonna be perfect at first. So let's delete that line. Put that there. Go to the end. Let's add an article tag. Copy the last snippet there. Go to L bottom, and that's lined up with the article tag. Boom. All right, next. Article, bingo. Cool. Thank goodness I did not complete the others, because that would have took me a long time. Ooh. Getting my my key shortcuts game on here. Nope. Oh, gotta, whatever. Boom. All right, reference. Boom, reference. All right, let's run this. That was a lot there. A lot of like small details. I just felt a little annoying. All right, something's off. Oh, that's right, because I don't have it in the H1 anymore. So I need to style that up, which is weird because the way they have it, and I wonder why. Let's take a peek. The way they have it here. Let's go. They have in the header, which I'm assuming they're adding CSS to it. That makes sense. Why not just use an H2 or whatever, you know, to each their own. But I guess for whatever reason, they use the header and not just put an H2 in there. For semantic purposes, probably. you know, this is the header. When there's a screen reader in place, it can like parse it through and read it back to any like accessibility, you know, for the accessibility purposes, maybe, I'm not sure. But anyway, I fixed that. I'm gonna take a break and we're gonna enter into our last Pomodoro for this video and get into our wrap up for this part one of building the technical page. So let's take our break and we'll be right back. All right, guys, we're back. So let's pick up where we left off. Let's start the timer. And before I start the timer, I want to make sure we are at the point where, yes. All right, so we refactor some of the HTML to hold each of those titles in the header, and then wrap all the paragraph and code tags in the article. So a wrapper, a container. So we're gonna do the same for the rest. So we're gonna chug through all of these sections, all these sections here, and just start plugging in all the content. And that should take up to 25 minutes. And then we'll take it from there. All right, so let's set this timer up. Boom. All right, so we did hello world. It looks a little weird, but we start this up with CSS. Oh, we're down here. Okay, so we're to variables. Okay, so here we go. Let's go to the variables section. Where are you? Let's wrap that in our article tag. Put some text in there. Save that. It's these three sections here. Boom. Let me get a P. P. You got your P. Alright. Corny jokes. Here we go. Awesome. Next. Let's add the last paragraph. This is some tedious stuff, man. When it comes to this. All right, let's just see how that looks. Cool, that's done. Declaring variables. What do you have for me? You have a paragraph here. Say that's another paragraph and a code snippet. Boom. Code gonna be oh yeah, I forgot to wrap this. That will happen. See, I'm not sure if this is two separate paragraph tags. I want to check. Make sure I'm doing that right. Let me close this. This is, I don't need this as much. Okay, I was at here, right? So if I did this by simply assigning code. Oh, inside the paragraph tag. So these code snippets go inside, but each of them has its own, with the keyword code. I see. So this whole thing is a block. Text, code, text. Paragraph, text, code, text. All right, I need to change that. Yeah, that looked a little off. I'm like, this looks like So within the paragraph, where am I? Variables, declare variables. So you can declare variables in 3 ways. So this is one whole paragraph with this. So this code goes in here. So let's open this up. Oh. Okay. This syntax could be, so I need to take this. Don't need this. Doesn't look the same. They had these in quotes. Did I make a difference? No, it doesn't. Oh, wait. Let me look at the way they did it real quick. I'm at the variable part. Is there like styling to this? Display block. Oh, there is. So there's some CSS to this. I was like, what? Okay. So there's some CSS applied to this. All right, that's what I need to know. I can deal with that later. All right, so here's my mess of HTML. All right, I'm onto the variables part. Right, so I need to add the rest of this, which is by simply adding, boom, this code can go up here by simply adding, and then I need this text. Right, boom. Now, another paragraph text block goes there with some code. Let's grab that from here. And I think we can wrap this section up here. Cool. Let's move on to variable scope. So let's create an article as a wrapper, p tag, and let's add this text. Awesome. Let's add another paragraph text. A lot of copy and pasting, man. Something really to talk about. I have to just kind of just do the work. We'll talk about sports or something like that, but the Rays won the first game, I think, in baseball. So good for them. All right. So do I add this with this? Oh, this is its own paragraph text. And I'll add this whole block. That's its own paragraph text. Right, so we're gonna say this is code elements. Here I'm going to have a line and another code element. That's gonna hold this stuff. Cool. Let's see how that's shaping up. Yeah, it's just a lot of text. It's hard to like visualize, but this is the this is it. This is the scaffolding here. All right, global variables. Let's move on to that one. Put that in the paragraph text. Let's add this one, put that in the paragraph text element. And boom. Cool. I think we're done with that one. Let's go to constants. And I'm gonna wrap these two in a paragraph and all of this in a paragraph and all of that in a paragraph element. Do I want to add this as part of this? I can make these two paragraphs, lines, and then, yeah, I'll do that. I'm gonna have to change that later, but this will cause an error. Okay, that looks like it's fine. Next is this one. Oh wait, that goes inside of here. All right, move on to the next one. Has to be a fast way to do this. It's a UL inside of that. Interesting. Okay, so for this one, we got to approach this definitely an unordered list, and then a list item here that has this. Right. And inside of that, I can nest other ones. I've never done that before. Is that doable? Let's see. I'm gonna look that up. I'm not sure how to nest list items. Like, you know, we have that list item, inside of that we have others. Or do I just put it under? Let me see. This one I have to look up. And HTML. So I'm asking how to nest list items in HTML, a list inside another list. Let's try this one. How to properly nest lists in HTML. Yeah, so this is what I'm trying to achieve. So they're saying start by creating a list. It can be ordered and unordered, which I have. Now add a nested list from the first item, which this is the thing I have to put the UL inside of there. That's the part I forgot. So for here, I need a UL. And let's move this up. Oh, let's see if that worked. Boom. There it is at the bottom. Let's zoom in on this a little bit. Looks pretty ugly for now, but there it is. There's the nested list item, which I don't do too often. All right, cool. We achieved that. Let's move on. Get myself back in the picture here. So let's add the rest. So list item, let's copy this. Let's add a couple here. Let's copy this text. Cool. Oh man, this is extremely tedious. All right, so I need to come back out and add this part, which is coming back out here, and I need to add another list item there and add that one. So Let's just separate these list items. Give them a little breathing room so I can help identify them. And that worked. There you go. Here is the list items in its glory, as my son would say. Awesome. Let's keep it moving. Now we have if-else statements. Oh, this looks like fun. Need a cup of water for that one. All right, if-else statements. So let's create an article for this one. And let's start plugging away at the content. Okay, that's a paragraph. Add some code, which is this one-liner if statement. Boom. I'm gonna add actually this to this as well, since it's part of the sentence or part of the paragraph. So let's just add that there. Some reading room. Yeah, I'm gonna go back later and give this some breathing room just to help with the visuals. I'll do that later. Okay. All right, on to the next one. What else do we have? Code snippet. Let's add that. I'll fix this later if I need to. I'm not sure if that's something I need to do, but we'll see. All right, what's next? Another paragraph text. I think we have 3 minutes left. I'm gonna end this after this Pomodoro. I'm going to get into the wrap up for this video, and then I'll go live again soon. And then to finish this project for part 2 of creating a technical documentation page. This is like pretty heavy on time. Just filling in the content is what's like kind of taking long, but it's okay. We'll take our time. All right, so there's a code part of it. We'll finish this section and then wrap up. B. All right, we'll stop here and push up. We have 2 more sections. You know what? Nah, let's do that next time, because then I'm gonna get into CSS and I'm not gonna stop. So we'll stop here. I'm gonna stop here. I'm gonna push up the code to GitHub, get into our break, and then wrap up the video and talk about what's next. But let's just refresh the page. So, you know, it doesn't look pretty right now. There's just a lot of content just sitting there. So with the CSS and adding the grid and sectioning things off, it should take better shape. Right, so let's do that. So let's take the next step, and let's add some version control to this and push this up to the GitHubs. All right, so git status here, everything's done in the index, so just adding a lot of content to this. Oh, oops. So git add. All right, let's commit this. So I'm getting out of the kind of idea, the strategy I had in place of like making every commit tied to a story. So it's okay. I'm gonna just be as descriptive as possible for this commit. So I'm going to say add content from introduction intro to, we left off I think the while statement. No, we left off, it was the if else. Yep, intro through if else statement. So add content from intro to if else statement. That's what I did. There is no user story, so I don't need that part because it's kind of scattered around now. So I'm gonna leave it at that, and push that up to the developer branch. Okay, push origin developer. Wait, develop. Okay, git push develop origin develop. Alrighty, I think that should push successfully. All right, so here we go. Add content from intro through the if else statement. You know, the naming and the messaging convention part of like how to leave messages. There's a lot of documentation about that and how to do it. So, you know, in the right context, in the right project, those conventions will be set up front. So that's something to, you know, that you need to follow if you do go through something like that, and make sure that your commit messages are very descriptive and in line with the coding style that whatever shop you're working for. But for here, this is the approach I'm taking. It's a light project to get our feet wet for future projects, right? So that's kind of the idea. But anyway, it's push on GitHub. We have a couple commits. The end result is us doing this part, and which is just laying out some content. We did that. We're gonna take a short break this time and get into the wrap up of this video and talk about what's gonna happen next. So let's do that. See you in a few minutes. All right, guys. So we're back, and I wanted to spend some time just wrapping up what we did today. And basically, we were working on a um, project on freeCodeCamp, specifically the technical documentation page. And today, we were able to set up our environment using VS Code and creating files and folders and understanding the what's expected of us as far as the requirements for the features. And so what we did was we read through each of those features in the form of user stories, and basically we started to code and stub out the HTML, which was the next step. And then from there, oh, the camera went out. From there, basically we started to inject content into the elements that we created, which were in the form of a lot of section tags, a lot of article tag, divs and wrappers to, hold the content. So we got through, I say 80% of that. We have 2 more sections to complete in the next video. But as far as like what we've done so far, we also created a GitHub repository, which was nice, and injected version control in our code base to hold the HTML and like keep track of all the changes, which is nice. We created also a developer branch for that. As far as the branching is concerned, we have a master branch and developer branch, which is pretty cool, and pushed a couple commits for each of the features that we created, and then combined some of the features as well and pushed those commits up as well. So for next video, I want to pick up where we left off and stub out the rest of the HTML and inject the content for that, and then get into CSS and so we can kind of like start using CSS, the native CSS grid. I'm excited about using the template areas to like really position all of the sections of the website so that I can set myself up in the way where I can use the grid properly. So grid area templates, the grid itself, and start positioning stuff in the right way. And then also add the aside part, which is the navigation piece is what we're missing as well. So we have to add that first before we get to CSS. But all that coming up in the next video. I'm hoping that we can break it down into only 2 videos, but we may get into a 3rd video depending on how long things take. And that's pretty much it, guys. Yeah, so these project-based videos that I'm putting together, I'm starting to like, I'm gonna get a structure going. I like the structure I'm in now, but if there's something different that may come up that I may think of, I may inject it. But for now, this is how it's gonna be. As we get into bigger projects, I'm gonna start like flushing out different sections and more organized in a way where it's like easy to digest in the videos, and we can document them, note them, and create timestamps. But yeah, for now, this is it. This is the first installment of the freeCodeCamp series that I'm going to be putting out there as far as the projects are concerned for freeCodeCamp. And look out for the next video. Please subscribe and like the video if you haven't. Hit the bell notification to keep up with all the video content that I'll be putting out in the next couple of weeks. Check me out on Instagram, on Twitter. I have content going on there, some motivational pieces that I put a lot of effort into and making them very graphical, making them very visual. So please check that out. And yeah, join me for the next video. If you want to contact me, hit me up on my Twitter, Getroman_dev, on Instagram. Built by Getroman is the handle on Instagram. You can contact me there. I'll be more than happy to respond. And that's pretty much it, guys. Thank you for watching. This is Built by Getroman. I'm dedicated to guiding code newbies like myself into becoming software engineers through motivational coding and basically self-documentation of my process of how I'm trying to achieve that role, achieve that goal of getting a job as a software engineer. So appreciate you. Keep coding. And as always, never stop building. Peace.